Oh,
Yeah, it's hey everyone, Dr. Kennard here with I don't even know how to say your name, Sam. What is that?
that's my rap name.
That okay?
I'm not going to tell anyone how to figure it out, but I'm sure someone smart in the audience will figure it out.
Okay, all right. Yeah,
It's not it's not that hard once you figure it out.
okay. I'm not even gonna try it because it's gonna completely throw me.
Distract you.
It's gonna completely distract me. Dr. Tomfoolery zombie, maybe. I don't know. I think I hear breathing over there, Dr. Tomfoolery.
That happens.
Yeah. That story that we covered about the cops in Philadelphia, dude. Just when you think that it couldn't get any worse, they take the toddler and use it for propaganda.
And when you said people in the chat have a guess what you think this might be,
Yeah.
I went to and then I thought, no, I'm not even going to bother. There's no way I could come up with that. And when you said it, I was not surprised.
Right. It's like getting getting a shitty Christmas present from that relative that always gives you shitty Christmas presents. You know there's something shitty in the present, right? But you just don't know. But somehow they're always able to surprise you. They're always able to like level their game, level up their game. It's like, oh, this a whole new like shit. That's what it is. Yeah.
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 Infuriating.
It is infuriating. Yeah, I don't even know. I saw the story yesterday and I'm like, wow, how crazy is that? What's up, John Hudson? I see you over there. You still doing hard time in kindergarten, John Hudson? Yeah.
It's funny. At the start, John was like, "This is awesome." I'm like learning stuff, and then a little while later, he's like, "It's killing me. Kill me now. Just put me out of my misery."
I try to warn people, try to give people a lot of runway to think about it beforehand. But yeah, I mean, some stories, it doesn't matter how much runway you give people, it's still boggling. It's still shocking. That's what it is. Yeah. So I did my orientation the last 2 days. Effective. I I got out through all the. I was the only person doing the orientation, so I just had to like sit at the computer basically. I did. I'm now officially part of a union. I haven't been part of a union for a while, so got to have a discussion about from the union rep about the whole union situation. And so I am. When you contribute, see, this is a pitch here. When you contribute to this channel, maybe a few of your pennies will go to my union too. Because not only I am volunteering an extra $2 per week to and I'm donating that to the political wing, the lobbying wing of the union, basically. My girlfriend was asking, so what do you think they do? And I said, well, I think they fuck Republicans over, to tell you the truth. And if you may not know this about me, but that's my business. that's the business model. I really haven't figured out how to get money in that well, but I definitely know what the goals of the operation are. What's up, Paul? You just having to get into.
I just caught the last bit you were talking about there about unions. Yeah, I'd advise you to join a union. I'm the union rep for my company, so I'm going to promote the unions.
Oh yeah. So in the union sign-up sheet, there's the little bit at the end about donate some extra for the political wing for the union.
I don't bother with that.
Well, I do. I'm like, yeah, I don't have a lot, but I want. There's definitely, if I can afford $2 a week for fuck you money to attack Republicans, then yeah, I'm all over that. I can do that.
Oh, fair enough.
What's up, Tobin? You're well lit today, sir. I'm not used to you having the Tarantino-like lighting.
Right on.
Yeah. Have you got a new camera? Because you look like you're in absolute super HD.
No, this is the same camera that I've been using, but usually I have the lights off and I'm just kind of sitting in the dark.
All right.
Yeah, like a whole
You
different
broke up a
person.
bit there. You were junk shopping a little bit.
Your
but
shitty internet's still the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, that's not a comment on Tobin. I love Tobin's like my brother, but his internet's shit.
Well, I'm out in the rural area that they have fiber optic that's been pulled to our to our neighborhood, and it's been there for like a year and a half or possibly even more. And it's just like getting them to get my internet line here took forever. And then yeah, it's very slow moving over here.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, and our government fucked us with internet. We had this amazing prime minister. I'm not going to get started, but anyway, he got fucked over, stabbed in the back by his own party. They ousted him, put someone else in. Australia went, hey, that's not who we voted for. He was like the most popular prime minister we've ever had. So we're going to vote for the other party just out of spite. And so they got into power. They've pretty much been in power ever since. And I I told you, don't let me get started. I don't even know what the point was. But, our internet.
Internet, how they fucked you on the internet, man.
Instead of paying a little bit more and laying out fiber from the start, which wasn't going to cost that much anyway, this conservative government comes in and goes, oh, into what? Internet? Oh, we don't need that rubbish. We've got pages and
Fax
so we got fiber. We had to settle for fiber to the node, so we can have ultra fast internet to a box at the end of our street, and then it jumps onto copper and slows down to.
Yeah, that's pretty much what ours is like.
Your face, Andy.
Why?
Yeah, that's pretty much what ours is like. Ours is using the old type telephone lines.
Why have the fiber optic? Why
But the
bother?
fibre optic is at the end of the street. So it gets super fast to the end of the street and then it comes up to the house in normal telephone line. It's still, I think it's still quite fast. I get between 40 and 50 megabits per second or whatever it's called. I don't know if that's...
Which is like when there's countries who are getting gigs down free, the government don't even make them pay for internet. I look at my 20 meg up 20 meg down, 3 or 4 meg up, and just think
I get
I'm
about
living
10
in a cave.
I get 10 or 11 up and I get 40 to 50 down.
Yeah.
So,
I wonder if there's anything to do with people being afraid of the internet and the 5G. It's gonna fry my brain. Like, how is that affected?
Man, for fast internet, you can fry my fucking brain. Do it. Fry it. Just give me the goddamn...
I have a question.
yeah.
Could you pay extra to have just the wire, to have fiber run into your house?
You can fork out and have it.
Yeah,
yourself.
that's it. That's the profit right there, right?
Yep.
I'm sure they paid whoever's laying that cable to individual houses must have paid.
And it's something like if 50 or 60%, I think it's more than half of Australians rent. So who is going to pay all that money to dig up roads and everything to have, which isn't what they do anyway, because the stuff with the copper wiring, like the pipes and stuff that house all that, is what they use to put the fiber optic in anyway. So they don't really dig new holes or anything like that anyway, but they still charge like they do So it
Well,
costs you
ours, it's
thousands.
ours isn't underground. Ours is overground.
No,
Ah.
yeah.
Mhm.
So
See, in
basically,
Australia, it's all
just
underground.
here is a telegraph pole, and then all the wires come off and go to all the houses. So
Yeah.
that's what I mean. It's fibre optic down to the junction box, and then from there it goes under the ground to literally just behind the shed, and then there's a telegraph pole, and then off that all the wires come off to all the individual houses.
Yeah,
That's
same
the
here.
same here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I think we have a problem with people driving into telegraph poles in Australia.
Oh,
I still
shit.
call it a. Isn't that funny? We call it a telegraph pole,
Yeah, that's what we call it.
but
Yeah.
telegraph has not. It didn't exist when I was born,
No.
so it's
No, but
bizarre. I
obviously
thought about it the
that's
other day.
how
I was like, what the fuck
telegrams
is a
were
telegraph
originally
pole?
done, wasn't it? Through the cable. That was originally what it was used for.
Well,
And
you know, in the defense of the government, you know, those telegrams have gotten a lot faster since they put in the fiber optics.
Yeah, I live in the middle of a major city, and the phone company delivers internet to me that is 10 megabit per second down and less than a megabit up. And that's as fast as I can get from them in the
Right.
middle of a city.
Really?
I live in a historically poorer section of the city, though.
Well, that's
And
probably
they never bothered investing in the infrastructure of this particular section. A little over to the wealthier part, same price that they charge me, you can get 100 megabit per second down. Same price, because they're just like, this is the price for the basic service.
yeah.
Yeah, and if you look at China and places like that, I mean, mine's fairly fast, let's say 40 to 50. And you look at China, they're 5-6 years ago, they were getting 100, 120. So
Yeah.
what they're on now, I've no idea.
Yeah.
But
So
it's like faster
this
than we
is just. I guess this is what we're doing. Privileged people problems, but
Yeah.
so I had to put on the power for my office that I started. I've opened up an office in the city where I live, and because it's a commercial building, or it's not a commercial building because it actually has residences above, but I'm a commercial space.
Hmm.
I have to pay $9 a day to my power company, even when my office is shut and I'm using zero power.
That's mad.
$9 a day.
Well, in their defense, it is Australian dollars.
Oh, but that's what I'm earning. So I'm in Australia. So that, that's a lot of money, for nothing.
And that was the shitty joke that gave Sammy a stroke. Like, it grabs his head and.
That's the point, Andy.
Oh, dude, I gotta tell you, I'm so excited about this new job. I can get cancer insurance as well as stroke insurance. I can get. You know, it's an insurance policy outside of the regular health insurance, so it's an add-on. So that means if I get cancer, and of course, you know, I'm buying the cancer insurance.
That's a given.
That's a given. And of course, I'm going to be buying the stroke/heart attack cardiovascular insurance. So if I have way too many friends, some of them have been on this channel. I have way too many friends who've either had strokes, mini strokes, or heart attacks, and I'm like, you know, I see the writing on the wall. I'm 53. Sure, I just dropped 13 pounds. But you know what? I know I get a little jazzed up. I know I get a little worked up. Maybe I should get some of that there stroke insurance.
Well, I'm fully covered.
And so this is the most exciting thing I can say about my job right now. I'm going to get the cancer insurance and the stroke insurance.
Do you have anything in America? Here it's called salary sacrificing. And I've never worked anywhere that had it, so I don't know much about it, but I've had a lot of people asking me if I'm going to do it, and it feels like a scam to me, but it's to do with the taxation department where so much of your tax, they allow you to use what you would normally have paid to tax to pay bills, certain bills like car
like health
loans.
bills.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something called flexible
But
pay here.
that comes off the gross of your pay.
Yes,
And then you're taxed on the remainder, so your
Yeah.
tax is less again. And
yeah, it's
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Sounds too good to be true. Like there's something I'm missing, I think.
If you have like medical bill, well, I'm healthy right now, relatively healthy. I don't take medicine, and I don't have to go see any specialists. But if that changed, if I became sick, like long-term ill, I might do something like that. Because you're right, Sammy. What it does, it takes a certain amount of money from your gross. You don't get taxed on it. This is how I believe it works out. And then you can use that money specifically to like even buy eyeglasses if I need to buy eyeglasses or to pay off medical bills. Yeah.
Well,
So there's two forms of it in the United States. There's stuff where you just set it aside into a fund that you use over the course of the year. It's usually medical stuff for that version. And if you don't use it, you lose it, which is bad. There's a separate version where it's just, you know you're going to do it anyway, and you can just... It's usually stuff that you could... During your filing of taxes, you'd get at tax deductions when you're filing, or you could simply have it be automatic. Anyway, like, for instance, at a previous job, I had a bus pass that I got through the company in pre-tax dollars because you could, when filing taxes, write that off, kind of thing, from part of your taxes, but that just makes it automatic.
yeah, well, I believe that here you can actually use it for a lot wider variety of bills. So as long as they are genuine bills, so I think like your power, or utility bills, car loans, home loans, rent.
Well, if if you're using it for rent, then that makes sense, right? I don't know I hear that the rents are pretty high in some areas over there. So if you can pay off your rent or your mortgage, for that matter, with tax-free money, that's wise.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds a lot more flexible and better in Australia than what we have here.
Who would have thought that? Who would have thought that?
The only thing that we've got that's similar to that is if you sign up for, it's basically like a private pension scheme. Then how our company works is I put in a certain percentage of my wages towards a pension, and then up to a certain amount, the company that I work for, they will match it.
Yeah.
So basically, as long as you put the maximum is what they do. So you can technically, you double your money. So I put a certain percentage in, and the company puts a certain percentage in. Also, the amount that I put in is tax-free, so I don't get taxed on that. It sounds good, but what happens is when you draw your old age pension, they tax you on that. So I'd actually rather be taxed now on the money that I put in, because that will just be a basic level. I mean, obviously now I'm paying in, the company that I work for is paying in, the money is invested, so that money grows and grows and grows. The amount that I put in to the amount that it's going to be worth is quite a big difference. So what they do is when I start drawing the pension, that's when they will tax me. So they're actually going to tax me on the bigger amount. If they taxed me now, that will be the end of it. Then I would then be able to draw that money, and I wouldn't be paying any tax on it. But they don't. They wait until it matures, and then they tax me. It sounds good when you first start putting into it. You think, oh well, this is basically tax-free money. I'm not paying tax on it. You're not, but you will when you retire.
Yeah. Well, for that, you put more in, a larger amount grows, and then by having a larger base amount, you have a larger ending amount, so you are being taxed on a larger amount than not taxed on a smaller amount. So it's like,
Yeah.
in the United States, we have a similar separation between traditional IRAs and Roth IRAs, where traditional IRA is tax-free when it goes in and tax comes out. Roth IRA, tax going in but tax-free coming out.
Yeah, I'd rather pay the tax now, so it's over and done with. And then obviously, as it invests and it grows and it gets bigger, that's it. It's irrelevant. I paid the tax on the amount that's gone in. It's been invested.
Yeah.
You know, then I should be entitled to the money back. They don't. They go, no, look, Paul, we're going to do you a favour. We're really good. We want to look after you. Put this money in, and we won't tax you. You won't get taxed on that. No. But when I retire, that's when they tax me, and it's worth twice, 3 times as much as it was when I put it in. Not that.
Shifting gears.
Venue hire. That is insane.
What's that?
So you can use your
What Jason
I was
got to
looking at a
say.
list of things you can use it for.
Oh yeah.
And there's pretty normal things, like childcare, car parking, groceries, health insurance, premiums. But it's got venue hire, laptop, rent and mortgage, utility bills.
No, it's definitely worth having. I mean, if you can get that
Yeah.
off your gross income, that's a good deal.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
Just back to what Dragons had said, good news, bad news. Most of my family who had COVID has already recovered. My bad news, my father is also recovering. Well, I know that there was a babe. Wasn't there like a toddler or a young child dragons too, who was sick with COVID? I dimly remember he had said something about that in one of the other open rooms. Yeah. All I know is I'm getting cancer and stroke insurance, and that's going to keep me going. The infant has also recovered too. That's good, Dragons. That's also good.
Yeah, last week I took a COVID test that came back negative, so
Congratulations.
that's cool.
So what's life being totally immunized there, Sammy?
I've got a little bit of a headache.
Oh yeah.
But it's fine. The first jab absolutely wiped me out, Andy.
Yeah, man did.
I thought the anti-vaxxers were right, man. I'm dying.
I was rough on the first one. I was about 3 or 4 days. I was rough. The second one, nothing at all. Absolutely nothing on the second one.
I have a friend who's been hesitant on the American vaccines and wants to go to Russia to get the Russian vaccine because he trusts that more.
It's just vodka. Trust me.
What other? And here's the question: what other conspiracy theories do they believe in? Dr. Tom Zombie, maybe.
He is originally from Russia, and he kind of has a nationalistic pride in Russia, so that probably is a lot of it.
Oh.
So.
Yeah, it's yeah.
But it's just this. He thinks that the mRNA vaccines has a possibility of changing the DNA itself and will cause untold
make us fluoresce so
and
the aliens know where we are, so they can.
Yeah, so he's like, yes, technically there is a very, very, very small percentage that some force could act upon the vaccine when it has gotten into your body. To do that, it's not an effect of the vaccine itself. It would have to be an outside thing that happened to be in your body at the same time as the vaccine. Like, but that's a super small percentage chance. Yeah. But technically non-zero.
Yeah, technically non-zero. Well, there's. I think everything is technically non-zero to some extent, right?
Well, so it's like when talking to him about it, it's like, yes, technically that is a non-zero amount of chance that this will happen, but really?
Yeah.
I mean, technically, there's a an almost non-zero chance of every human being existing. Yet here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah,
That's the thing with probabilities, you know.
yeah.
And that thing that Christians struggle with, why this earth is so perfect for us.
This is the same friend that I've been having difficulty with because he recently started becoming really into a God belief of God is love and all sorts of different stuff like that.
See?
And it's like,
There's a conspiracy theory right there that he believes in.
yeah. It's like, and I'm having trouble. I'm having trouble with him because it genuinely has made him happier. So he's been struggling with depression for quite a while, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, you're happier now, and that's good.
Yep.
But
But the sad thing is, it will be short-lived because it's like
it's causing him to have a lot of weird thoughts as well. So it's like,
Yeah, weird thoughts. Well, I think
he's struggling with. Okay, he.
Are we talking like Richard Madsen weird or?
Well, he fell. Okay, so he fell in love with a person he met live streaming on a site for people doing. It's similar to
Adult
OnlyFans
things?
kind of site.
it's what kind of site? I'm sorry.
It's a similar to OnlyFans kind of site, and he fell in love with a person that he met on there. He was in their room commenting and stuff with them.
So
And
I'll be quiet. Go ahead.
Do you not know what OnlyFans is, Andy?
I do, but I'm
Are
holding
you-
back. I'm holding
Oh, okay,
back,
okay.
Sammy. I want to hear the
Okay.
story. I'm loading up
Okay.
right now. I'm loading.
okay, so he's fallen in love with a person through a site like that, and I've been cautioning him on this, and he's basically been telling me about, but I've gotten providence from God when I was just thinking about what to do. This song suddenly started playing that perfectly explained my situation, and he went into the song about Orpheus, which has to deal with a person going to Hades to rescue his lover and stuff like that. So it's like, I just don't know what to do with him.
How old is he?
He's 30 something.
Okay. Because whenever I ask that, whenever someone starts manifesting symptoms, I always think maybe they're between the ages of 16 and 25, because that's usually when things start when things kind of go wrong in the brain.
But Andy, speaking from personal experience, I was in my late 30s when my mental health really kicked off.
He's been having mental health troubles for a long time.
Okay, so yeah, all right, yeah. Well, that's the thing, this is one of the things I always tell my kids: if you don't take care of your problems, they will eventually take care of you. Because I'm sure that we've all seen it in our personal lives, people who are kind of quirky in middle school and high school, and then they just don't deal with their issues, and by the time they get to our age, then just like that, man.
And Sammy, when you were saying about Richard Madison, you said is he weird, like in the Richard Madison way? What makes Richard Madison weird? Is it the fact that he's the only one that's come out with his way of interpreting the Bible? Because if you'd never heard,
not the fact that he's the only one.
But what I was going to say is, if you'd heard nothing whatsoever about the Bible and you had somebody who interpreted it as the Christians did and somebody interpreted it as Richard Madison did, which would be the weirdest?
Equal.
So basically, you'd never heard of any of them.
Equal.
Exactly. So the only thing that makes Richard Madison that little bit more weird is there's less of him than there is of the Christians.
No, well,
Fucking weird.
but see, you're assuming that I think he's more weird than other Christians. I don't. I think they're just as fucking weird. It's just
They're
his
all-
isn't
I'm
his
not
isn't
saying agree with that.
his
They're
isn't
making it up
new.
as they
You wouldn't have mentioned
They're
him
all
if you didn't think that he was a little bit more weird than the Christians.
No, because he's someone I can point out. I could say Christians in general, but and he's a new weird.
Yeah, but whether it's new or old weird, weird is still weird. That was the point.
Tobin, what were you going to say?
I agree.
Were you going to start?
Yeah, I think
were you-
they're all the same. Because they're all making it up as they go. I mean, Richardson isn't doing anything different than any other silly Christian.
So whenever I come across certain quirky people on the internet, I think of schizotypal personality disorder. I don't know if you've come across that, Sammy, being in the field, but schizotypal personality disorder. It's not full-blown schizophrenia, but it is a thought disorder. And, there are symptoms like peculiar, eccentric, or unusual thinking, beliefs or mannerisms, belief in special powers, such as mental telepathy or superstitions, unusual perceptions.
And what I was gonna say before you read that list, and it wouldn't have been so obvious, was it's shockingly more common than most people think.
Oh yeah. We are.
But when you hear that list of common, we won't call them symptoms. We'll call them symptoms. You quickly realize that, wow, that's like half the population, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm dressing in unusual ways. It's something I keep in the back of my, especially when I saw Mr. Madsen for the first time. For my 5 minutes of interaction with him, I'm going, maybe.
When you hear about mental people with certain mental conditions, and we put them into a category like that, like you say, you can put religion into the same category. Isn't there basically an advocate in the definition of it that it doesn't include a religious belief? So somebody can believe in supernatural type things. If it's a popular religious belief, then it wouldn't be classed as a mental illness.
It's usually couched as has to be atypical from society at large.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
So since religion is typical of society.
Yeah, basically, if you believe that the same thing about Elvis Presley, you'll be classed as cuckoo. But if you believe exactly the same thing about Jesus Christ, you're just a Christian.
Well, one of the questions I like to ask people on the channel, you'll see this in my in-depth conversations with them, my hour-long chats, especially with people who are in the field, right, who are in like the mental health field. It's like, do you think faith is a form of mental illness? And Freud did, I'm not going to here to be an apologist for Freud, but there's a case to be made.
I think the difference is a lot of these what we'd class as weird beliefs, they seem to come from nowhere. Somebody just seems to come out with these different beliefs. Like I say, Elvis Presley is still alive. Elvis Presley comes and talks to me. They sort of like just come out of nowhere. Whereas a religious belief, we know the origin of that, of where it's come from. And also people are indoctrinated into that belief at a very early age. And that's what enforces it. Once you've got somebody as a child and you're indoctrinating them with this belief and you keep drilling it onto them that this is a true belief, they're going to believe it. It's so hard not for them to believe it.
Paul, was that a conspiracy that you felt hard to let go of? Was that Elvis was still alive?
No.
It's going to be if you eventually start to go senile or
Yeah.
go back to religion, that'll be your
Elvis
go-to thing.
talks to me. Yeah.
Yeah, but getting back to your friend, Dr. Tom Fuller, I'm a big believer in therapy and talk therapy, or a person having a good support system. It isn't like they're going to be, it's harm reduction to a certain point, right? It's about reducing the harm a person can do to themselves, and trying to increase the amount of joy that they get in life, ultimately. So
Yeah, and that's what their religious belief is giving them now. Because before they were just highly depressed all of the time, and suddenly they're like, "This is the purpose to life now." And I was like,
well, it's a Faustian
okay.
bargain, it's a Faustian bargain people like that make.
And
They
it's a dangerous one.
Oh yeah, it is, because
Because
it's the nature of the fucking meme, right? You see a lot of ex-addicts, like Mike Lindell, for an example, right? People who are in recovery, a lot of times it isn't the fact, and this is how the meme works. It isn't the fact that it helps them out, which it may or may not, but it also makes them just be miserable to everybody else around them, and that's my main concern with people who find relief in religion.
And depending on the religion,
It's a moral licensing.
It amuses me when my friend tries to prove the existence of God to me because of some of the dumbest things. Like he says, "Yeah, but you have to see God is real because I prayed to God to find my keys, and then a little after that, I was able to find my keys." And that's the kind of stuff that he's trying to tell me is proof that God exists.
Yeah, I suppose if you hold the belief to that extent, is you're always going to connect the dots, so to speak. Like you say, he's found his keys, so therefore God must exist. He ignores the times that he doesn't find the keys, or something they don't find. People always recognise the hits; they don't seem to recognise the misses.
I try and explain that. I try and explain this to him, but he's like, "No, you don't understand. If you were there, you would." And I was like, "Really?"
Do you know? Not that this is really an answer in that it's something you can necessarily do, but speaking from experience, my indoctrination from childhood was so deep and so bad that even after I'd left and thought that I was completely out, I was still actually indoctrinated. And the only thing that was able to get in deep enough to start dislodging that indoctrination was other woo, similar woo.
Yeah.
And it just dislodged enough that I started thinking in other ways. And then the floodgates just opened. And then within months, I was a critical thinking skeptic.
Yeah.
From months before looking into giants and shit from Genesis and
giants in Genesis isn't as good as looking into dragons in Genesis, of course. But anyway, my friend has been describing his theories of how the quantum universe supports his view of God. So that's wooey in and of itself at this point.
For people like that, I would imagine that one of the best strategies in assisting them is to build up more reality-based support systems, right? I think that's what if there was someone here qualified to give that kind of advice, it would be the helping them get more secular, or at least non-wooish support systems, building on whatever strengths that the person has. Because they're getting this assistance from this belief system in this community. If they were getting assistance from another source,
There's a certain family that my friend recently made friends with that is deeply religious that I'm thinking
Yeah, that's it. They
is
infected
feeding
him.
a lot into this, and it's like,
It is. It's an infection. That's what it is.
Mm.
I mean, Dawkins was fucking spot on.
And you know, I think
Oh.
that's one way we can start to is our community offering those you know, kind of like services and stuff like that. I hear so much now about secular therapy and stuff. I'm starting to go, you know, maybe I should check in on myself. You know, if our community starts promoting these things, I think eventually, since we're using science and reason, you know, our predictions and the way we help our community members, it's going to eventually outshine their community.
mm.
Well,
That's what I think. That's what I'd like to see.
Yeah.
And the thing with humanism and secularism and atheism is the people are there because they want to be there. They're doing a charity because they want to do a charity. They're not doing it because God told them to. They're not doing it to look good in front of their church. It's all real, and that's the biggest difference. So
Yeah.
when there is enough numbers, you know, I think you're right, Tobin. I think it would way outshine religion.
Yeah, and like Tobin said, you're doing it because you want to do it. And, you know, I don't care what religions say, the only reason that they do what they do when it comes to charities and things like that, it's a recruiting drive. That's what it is. It's a recruiting drive.
There's been evidence to show that with primates, that, you know, other primates than us, that when they are, when there's a lot of food present, when they're not, when they have shelter, when their lives don't suck, they're actually quite nicer to each other, right?
Mm.
It's and so you would imagine that if we create a society where people don't have to worry about going bankrupt over medical bills and such like that, that they will just naturally be kinder, gentler, and be like Tobin said, with just being more humanistic to each other as
Yes.
against engaging in this kind of crazy behavior.
Well, it's almost
Yeah, that reminds me of the statement that people have is suffering brings you closer to God.
That is basically what Mother Teresa taught. That is basically
that was her motto.
That was her motto, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, that might be true, but God is a fictitious jerk. I don't know why, you know, I mean, if you're in some kind of codependent relationship with this idol, then sure, you know, I mean, that makes perfect sense.
If it is true, then God's a dick.
Yeah, totally.
Oh man, I have to parrot something I heard last night. It was on the and he had some of his Oz had some of his family members on, and the woman said, "Oh, I hope I say this right. People should treat religion like it's probably not good to show it off to." Oh man, I'm messing it up. Oh man. Religion is like your dick. You probably shouldn't be. Oh man. I'm messing it up.
I'm just
But
thinking
it
about
was
my
so
own rules
funny.
about
It
my
was
dick
really
then.
Yeah. Like, what would you?
It's fine to be proud of it, but you shouldn't
shove
wave it in
it
front
down
of everyone
people's
else.
throats.
Yeah, you shouldn't try to give it down everybody's throat, yeah.
Okay, so that being said, I will say that the one thing COVID has taught me, and this entire fascism thing, here in the States, is that I am intolerant of other people's crazy thoughts that they have in their head. Now I'm a very kind of like relaxed about it, but if someone, you know, I'm not in the, hey, you know, there's a bunch of people here who want to come in and I don't know who they are, so you're not coming in. I've been trolled by enough Christians.
Oh, it could be fun, though. It could be fun.
No, they're just going to feel pointed.
It could be fun.
Not Andy's kind of fun.
Yeah. So So yeah. If you want to be on the channel, you have to establish some kind of pre-existing relationship, or in the chat for a period of time, or on Facebook or on Twitter. I have to know who you are before I'm going to show you on my channel. That's all there is to it. That's it. Otherwise, thank you for viewing. But yeah, I when people say you can think what you want and it doesn't matter, it's like, yeah, I think it does matter. I think it does matter. And if you, especially if you're going to talk about your crazy belief, your toxic belief system, then I think I'm gonna talk about it with you. Yeah.
This is quite personal, but this is what I'm up against. I had a conversation just tonight, actually, and it was with my partner, and she doesn't get my atheism at all. Because in Australia, you don't talk about politics, you don't talk about religion. No one gives an F.
Right.
So you just don't talk about it. And I said, you asked me why it's so important to me when I have a mother who I don't see, and I have kids who don't have a grandmother because of a religion. That's why I care. And she says, but it's her choice. Like,
Say that again.
why do you care? It's my mum's choice. It's her loss, sort of thing. And it just baffles me that this is her kids too.
Yeah.
Like, they've lost a grandmother, but I get she's not your mum, but like, doesn't it bother you that this religion has come in between a family?
Yeah.
Like, yes, I know people should have their own choice in that, but when it interferes, yeah, I'm preaching to the choir here, but
Yeah.
and it just the conversation has to end because it just
Yeah.
we agree to disagree. And it comes from an atheist, and that's the problem, at least in my country, is that people don't understand why you're bothered by religion. Just leave them be. They think once they're out, or if they've never been in, they sort of scoff at it and think
so here's the reason.
harmless.
Here's a metaphor that I think, I don't know if Carl Jung said this, but I remember reading it back in the day, that these crazy beliefs, right, when they're not out in the open, they're like sewerage, right, in sewers. And then when times go bad, right, when the system gets stressed, there's an explosion of sewerage out on the streets. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, I didn't realize I had all this sewerage underground. And then look at it. There are people talking about QAnon, people, doing modern day witch trials, talking about Democrats doing satanic rituals and abusing kids. And so you gotta, and then this is what happens when you don't make skepticism or humanism and empathy as cardinal virtues in your society, is that you're always going to be at risk of having crazy thoughts come out and take control of people, basically, or not take control of people, but influence their behavior. And so that's why it isn't just as simple of being on defense. It isn't. If you're just playing a game, if you're in a knife fight and the only thing you're doing is playing defense, then that's a recipe for losing. That's what it is. That's just a recipe for losing.
Yeah, that reminded me of
That's
Minnesota
a great
State.
analogy.
The Minnesota State Fair was end of August, early September, and there's the DFL booth, which is DFL local version of the Democratic Party, as I've mentioned before. And I volunteered at the DFL booth for 2 of the days of the fair. And just the level of number of people who would come by the DFL booth and spout insane garbage conspiracy theories this year has been far and away beyond anything of previous years. Yelling at the people working at the booth that we're like murderers, rapists, all sorts of different stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah, and you see the problems with other countries where they let religious fanatics have green zones, right? Where they just let them just do what they want, basically, because they're not causing that much trouble. And that's not a strategy. That's not a sustainable strategy over the long term. Allowing people in this country to have green zones where they can just let these memes metastasize and go throughout the society. That's not safe either. Because otherwise you're going to have 28% of the population that's going to vote for fascists, or 28% of the population that don't want to get their jabs, right? This is what you get when you have that strategy.
Well, and I guess it's, especially in America, it's different. It's funny with you guys because the religion permeates the government so much. It's a little different. Sorry.
That's okay.
Lost it.
So once again, I just want to talk about the policies about coming on and doing the panel. You're going to have to comment. You have to show up here on a regular. Or I have to know you. You can always message me through the Laughing in Disbelief Facebook page, or be on, Atheist Comedy Burrito. But once again, I just don't let people show up that I don't know and that don't have.
Yeah, that's a good call. If you can read the private chat, one of the dudes is definitely somebody not being here.
And I haven't even looked at the chat either, but
Jesus. Private chat.
But not to speak for Andy, but I'm sure he'll correct me if I'm wrong. But this is a shoot the shit chat. It's not debate. It's not, argue whether God exists. Because that's been answered and settled on this channel. Can I just say?
No, it's actually been answered, period. It's just been answered, period. I just accept it as like, well, what's the salient problems of our society? They're more of, and we should be talking about that. And Christian fascism is a major issue. So we talk about Christianity as a problem in society, which it is. But we're not going to talk about, whether or not your imaginary idols are real or not.
Yeah, they're not. That's it. Simple.
That's the end of the conversation on this channel.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I was listening to and talk about being responsible in terms of what information, you use your platform for. I was listening to the Rationally Speaking podcast yesterday, which is typically an okay podcast. And I was able to walk to work and back yesterday. So there was this science journalist for Vox on, and she was talking about the possible benefits of ivermectin. And so it was about probably like a 10-minute segment in an hour-long show in which she was saying, well, maybe there are some benefits, maybe there aren't so many benefits. And then she actually emailed the host of the show saying, oh, by the way, I did some more research, and it turns out ivermectin is just a pile of shit, and that there's more than enough evidence of fraud in a lot of these journal articles, or a lot of these research studies that are coming out. And I'm going, why did the host keep that 10-minute segment in with the journalist talking about how ivermectin could be useful, when we all know that once the idea gets into the zeitgeist, it's very difficult to pull those ideas back in. I thought it was irresponsible. And the woman who runs rationally speaking, should do better, because I thought it was just irresponsible. That was my, and then I got into a kind of like a little debate with Robert. No, not a debate. We had a discussion about ivermectin on my personal Facebook page yesterday. Because if there's anything that gets me popping off, it's fucking ivermectin at this point.
People who use that tendency of like, it doesn't have to be true, just as long as you get it into the discussion, it can permeate. Or it's like, I'm just saying, kind of people. It's like, you're exploiting a flaw in the system.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be true. You just have to get it out there.
Right.
That's the Alex Jones.
Ivermectin is synonymous with Joe Rogan at the moment.
Oh my god! And I've tried. I've done my damnedest to to work that angle. Because Rogan, talking about another guy who's not responsible with his platform. I am happy to hear that Howard Stern has specifically called him out. Of all the people, it isn't Sam Harris calling Rogan out. It isn't, it's fucking Howard Stern. Thank my fictitious God for Howard Stern to call out Joe Rogan on this ivermectin shit.
Good on him. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, it's in my news feed and for a couple of days, and it's like, yeah, because Rogan's like, well, I had a doctor prescribe it for me. It's like, and Stern says, well, he would also probably give you the fucking vaccine, not using the F-bomb there, but he would also give you the vaccine, Joe.
It's just mind-boggling. It's like, oh, we don't trust the medical field, but we'll trust the veterinary field. Like, it's like both this,
yeah, it's all junk arguments. Every single argument.
Saying that your doctor gave it to you, so it must be okay. Michael Jackson's doctor gave him shit too, and he's not okay.
And this is why it's important to go to the scholarly consensus, right? What is, and when I had Dr. Josh on the channel, let's specifically ask him about why is that so important when we talk about things in general, and specifically about biblical scholarship. But scholarly consensus means something. It isn't just the fact that a bunch of guys smoked some spliffs and came up with an idea that they all agree on. No, there's a process. There's peer review. There's replication of experiments.
That's what they are. Joe Rogan, Jordan Peterson, they're all just a bunch of boys looking up at the stars going, wow, I wonder if CAT really spells dog.
Right. Well, I think you're right there because I think you're right because about the beefs about pronouns and everything. It's like words don't actually
work like that.
Yeah. All right, so we should start getting ready to close up the show. Once again, if you want to be on the show, you got to contact me or be part of the community. That's all there is to it. And if you're not, then I'm sorry. There are a bunch of other shows you can talk to, a bunch of call-in shows, and they litter the internet. Paul, what was your stream about earlier today?
Oh, did you watch it?
I did not, but I saw that you mentioned it in the chat before. I was wondering what it was.
Oh, right, yeah, of course I did, yeah. It's from Trinity Radio. It'll be 3 days ago, 13th. They put out a video asking 10 questions for atheists to answer. And you could either answer it by text or they said, do a video. So that's what I've done. So, yeah, if anybody's interested, if they go onto my channel, my last video that's up is 10 questions for atheists.
Dude, I'll check it out.
Yeah.
And
that sounds
Paul, someone came to me at work and showed me this little 10-second clip that their partner had sent them of all the mates standing around at work, and one of them had his jab, and he's putting a lighter up, and it's sticking on his arm, and she's showing to me going, look, and And I started to see red, and then I was like, nah, hang on. And I remembered your video, and I pulled your video up.
Oh, cool.
And I just showed up. And I said, see, it's bullshit. Like, the video cuts off right there. Ask him to send a video to you of pulling it off his arm and showing you the back of the lighter.
Yeah.
But that's all it takes to convince people.
I hope it made her think. Even if it didn't convince her, I hope it made her think. That was the whole idea of doing the video, just to make people think and not be so gullible.
You're doing the Lord's work, Paul. Can't
Hallelujah.
All right. We're doing this tomorrow, everyone. Thanks for showing up. And I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.
Everyone go to my channel and check out my video from this morning.
Yeah. It sounds like a pretty cool video. I'll check it out, dude.
Right, catch you all later. Have a good
All right.
one.